with New South Wales passing the 70% double vaccination rate threshold as set out in the national plan, we have passed the first major milestone for Australians to start getting their lives back. We've worked so hard to save lives. We have worked so hard to save livelihoods. Indeed, in New South Wales, just over the course of this latest lockdown, more than $10 billion of support provided by the Commonwealth Government to see those in New South Wales through. Just as we're doing right now in Victoria, and as we're doing here in the ACT, and as we've done even in those states and territories that haven't had lockdowns but their businesses have been affected, we've been able to provide that economic support. Saving lives, saving livelihoods, and now Australians are beginning to get their lives back. The things that have been taken from them because of this awful pandemic. The ability of Australians to come together, Australians to spend time with one another, to do business, to be together with family, to go to weddings, to go to funerals. All of these times so precious, and these times now being restored because of the vaccination rates hitting the levels that we've needed them to, as has been set out in the scientific work that has been done by the Doherty Institute. I particularly want to say to all those doctors and pharmacists in New South Wales, and indeed right across the country, that 70% double vaccination rate would not have been achieved without their fine work. 2/3 of the vaccinations that have been delivered in New South Wales has been delivered under that program by the Commonwealth through the pharmacists and through, in particular, the GPs, who really did that heavy lifting with AstraZeneca over the many months that ensured that New South Wales can see the day they're seeing today, and importantly can see the day that they will see on Monday. On Monday, New South Wales will be able to begin the process of opening safely and stay safely open. That's what's different this time. That's what the national plan is about. When you hit those vaccination rates, you can open with certainty again, and you can open safely with certainty again, and you can stay open. So you can make your plans, you can make your bookings, you can go back to having that certainty about what's happening weeks and months from now. And I want this to be a sign of hope to the rest of the country, particularly those in Victoria who I'm mindful of today, and here in the ACT where the lockdowns continue. But what it does show is that those vaccinations have enabled New South Wales to now get to that point where the light at the end of that tunnel is now very, very close. And that will be true for Victoria, it'll be true for the ACT as well, as they go towards these marks. I commend, of course, the governments in New South Wales and Victoria and ACT for setting out their roadmap, for setting out the specifics of what people can expect, and I want to encourage them more down that path. The deal that we had with Australians, if they roll up their sleeves, then we will roll up ours in ensuring that they can reclaim the things that are so important to them. And that's what we're now seeing as a result of that vaccination program. I also want to thank the Polish government, the UK government, for the incredibly important role in the government of Singapore that they played, particularly in this last month. Those additional doses that we were able to secure and accelerate those vaccination rates, particularly those Polish doses early, that enabled New South Wales to target those areas most affected by the outbreak, and indeed ensures that they can see the day that they will now see on Monday. And I thank all of those who are involved in that important work. But it is hope for the other states and territories. It does show that there is a path ahead. It does provide them with encouragement. And I also want to say to those states that haven't had the same COVID experience as New South Wales and Victoria and the ACT, that you don't need to have that experience if we can continue to see those vaccination rates rising. That's the motive. That's the incentive. Sure, in many states around the country, they are not living under the harsh and strict conditions that we've seen in New South Wales and Victoria and the ACT. But they can avoid those outcomes because COVID will certainly come. There's no avoiding that. And everybody understands that. There's no part of the world where people don't understand that under the Delta strain is that it eventually comes. We're seeing that in New Zealand, we've seen it here in the eastern states, and it will come. But when that day comes, when your vaccination rates are at those 70 and particularly 80% levels, that means you'll be able to withstand it. And those vaccinations not only give you an inoculation against serious disease and illness, but they also can give you an inoculation as a state against the need for those harsh lockdowns. And so I would encourage those right around the country to go and get vaccinated. Let's hit those marks. It's great to see now that in other states, particularly in WA and in Queensland, they are now over 50% double vaccination rates. That's very, very good news. And it's a lot harder in those states because there isn't the immediate urgency that we're seeing in the eastern states because of the lockdowns. Of course, that's going to provide a greater motivation and incentive for people to get vaccinated. But in those other states, they're continuing to press on. And that's why I continue to be impressed with what's happening in Tasmania, where their vaccination rates are high, but yet their COVID rates are very, very low. So now 81% of over 16s right around the country are now first dose vaccinated, just under 60% second dose, 95% of over 70s first dose, 81% second dose, and for over 50s, 90% first dose, just under 75% second dose. We will hit 30 million doses of the vaccine being administered this week. And we'll do that now in what is essentially the first week of October. What that shows is the problems and challenges that we've had, we've addressed, we've fixed, and we've turned it around, and we're in the home stretch, and we're moving towards that line, and then we need to keep going beyond it, because I believe Australia can achieve much higher vaccination rates than the 70 and 80% that we've set out in the national plan, and that will only give us greater confidence and enable us to move even more quickly as we open the country up. I want to see Australians all reunited once again. I'm sure we all want that. I have no doubt that all premiers and chief ministers around the country want to see that as well. So we need to keep setting out that path ahead, moving forward with confidence and giving people that hope that the vaccine program is giving them. We can't be complacent. We need to move in a safe way, and the national plan does set out a safe path based on the best possible medical and health advice and the best scientific research as has been done by the Doherty Institute. To all those still in lockdown, you can look at this day and say, we'll be there soon. And I know you will be. It won't be long. And as the days get warmer, then I think Australia's prospects will continue to get brighter. And so I want to thank all of Australians for the tremendous work that you've done in getting us to this point. There's more to do. There's a lot of hope ahead, and I want us to keep pressing towards that. But everybody in New South Wales, enjoy the moment on Monday, but be careful, continue to remain safe and COVID safe, and we will continue to press forward, and I have no doubt the rest of the country will follow. Phil.